Sometimes it only takes a tweak. We're in an era where games want to either play follow the leader, mimicking the latest trends that the industry has to offer, or you have the flip side, games that try to reinvent the wheel entirely, forgetting exactly what the strengths of the core mechanics of that genre were and failing to combine new ones in a positive way. But once in a while, you get a game that just alters things slightly, and in that slight change, you get something truly different. And that's a good segue into SuperHot. SuperHot comes from the SuperHot team, which gets points deducted for an uncreative company name. It's a minimalistic FPS for $24.99 that has you shooting bad guys with one major twist, that time moves only when you move. Can this one mechanic flip the FPS genre on its side? Or will it faceplant while doing it? That's what I'm here to answer, but before I begin, this review was done with a key obtained from Evolve PR. That won't change my opinion of the game in the end, but you should know that because of FTC guidelines, as well as the whole morals thing, you know? So let's get this out of the way. SuperHot's mechanic of only moving time along when you're moving, it works wonders. In an era where a lot of FPS games barely feel different from each other in the overall picture, SuperHot stands out like a single Bears fan in a sea of cheeseheads at Lambeau Field. Your job is simple. Survive the waves of enemies until the level is over, or until you take a shot of any sort. Now you get hit by one bullet, you're done. But the same thing is true with your opponents. You can fight with either your fists, a melee weapon, or a gun. If you choose the gun route, you'll soon learn that you have limited ammo. So when you've got no more bullets, your next best option is to throw the guns at your enemies, or hell, anything else that you can get your hands on. If the projectiles connect, that means your opponent is temporarily stunned, and will drop whatever is in their hands. If that happens to be a weapon, you can literally grab it out of the air and hit your opponent with a buckshot in the chest. Now, there are melee attacks as well, and while a good bat shot will take out an enemy rather easily, your fists will take a little bit more effort. A gun is pretty much better in almost every way in combat here, but sometimes waiting for an enemy to come around the corner to smack them in the face can be just as viable. Later in the game, you get the ability to hot switch, which has you leave your body and transfer into another. Now this kills the body you were in and destroys any weapon the body you switched into was holding. This ability may get you out of unwinnable situations, or into a position to kill multiple people without much effort in question. However, it does have a cooldown time before you can use it again, and you may switch into someone that's right in the line of another enemy's sight. Gameplay wise, the timing aspect of the game changes everything, as it doesn't actually stop time, but slows it down pretty much so it feels like it is. How you approach the situation changes drastically, as each of your next steps are critical in terms of putting yourself into a position to succeed. For example, you need to be wary of a bullet speeding towards you, so when you next move, you put yourself in a safe spot. It's less about twitch action here, and more about absolute precision. As a friend put it, it's almost like a turn-based FPS. This makes precision more important than anything else. Hell, you can get to a point where you can knock enemy bullets out of the air with your own. If you're good enough to anticipate the movement patterns of your enemies, you may actually be able to hit them while they are moving to a spot in question. This game rewards skill, it rewards thinking, and I love it for that. The game is making you feel like you're in the Matrix universe of sorts. There are great scenarios that play out, such as disarming 3 enemies in an elevator, taking them out one by one, and then dealing with the 2 enemies outside the level that you stop on. Even if you fail the first few times, it's easy to get right back into the action and learn from your past mistakes, and then feel like a badass. Now, enemy AI is rather one-track minded, as they are all programmed to basically kill you and nothing else. Now, you can exploit that at times, but usually the game keeps up the pressure with multiple enemies at once, and makes you keep your wits about you. But all in all, you'll usually be undone by you not seeing something, and that's all on you in this case. And what really delivers a KO blow is the replay system. After getting through a level, you're shown how you went about the level, without the slowdown mechanic in play. That's right, it's basically an action movie shot, and it's glorious to see. In fact, the game even allows you to upload the run to Killstagram, minus the SuperHot text. Now note, I really would have loved to see this in a true video saved format, but I like the fact that the feature is built in for everyone to enjoy. Now the game has a main campaign of 25 scenarios in total, but once you get through them, you get challenge modes as well as endless modes. In the challenge modes, you have to go through the same levels with restrictions on top of them, such as only using katana or having only one bullet per gun you pick up. It adds additional layers that helps, but it's the endless in which the game really shines. It's just you against the computer, hoping to not take a bullet to the chrome dome while lasting as long as possible with wave upon wave upon wave of enemy. And that's even with a lack of weapon variety and enemy types. That may have worked to help stretch out gameplay, but the core gameplay is so simple and so addictive that it may have muddied the waters if more was added. The game gets the KISS principle right. They kept the gameplay simple, and the gameplay shines because of it. The aesthetic is simple, but in this scenario, it really works. It's supposed to have this simple simulation aspect to it, and it's supposed to separate the human element from the players you're going after. And despite that, it's still wonderful to see a head blow apart thanks to a nicely placed bullet with these graphics in question. I don't believe this decision came down to budget or lack of skills in terms of the graphical fidelity here. For me, it came down to keeping a theme with the game, and again, this decision was well made here. Let's also talk a little bit about the story without spoiling too much. The game is attempting to not only break the fourth wall, it attempts to take the broken wall and beat you over the head with it. The themes of security, about whether you're in control or the system's in control, works fantastically in the presentation here. The game understands how to push the player's buttons by taking away control and messing with his head. It takes the player for a ride, and when the player really thinks about it, they may come to a self-revelation or two. Now, there are times that some of the messages feel ham-handed, that it may take it one step too far in terms of extreme messages. But with that said, it does make a reasonable impact nonetheless, and is a lot better than a lot of FPS storytelling experiences out there. On a side note, there's a lot of little side menus that you can go through that really don't serve a huge purpose in terms of the game, but obviously was just the developer having a little bit of fun. And I like to see that out of a developer. Also, you get ASCII games, because who doesn't love ASCII games? So okay, what's the game's downfall? Well, honestly, it's only really one thing. Its price tag. The price tag, however, is really going to sour some people, and I admit that when I saw the $25 price tag on the game, I was taken aback. Part of the issue here is the content. I think you can get 3 hours of content out of it reasonably before you're repeating what you're doing and it feeling similar. Now even then, you still enjoy endless mode over and over and over again, as it has an arcade type feeling at that point. But with the campaign being as short as it is, I really do wish it was longer. I can't help that people will be driven away from a purchase here, even if the referral system is used, which I can't actually see what the discount is or if the game is just messing with me. Here's where I'm torn. I loved my time with the game, and honestly, it feels so much different than everything else out there. But $25, that's asking for a lot, especially with what's here. And despite the polish here, that's going to be a hard sell for several people, and hence why it scores an 82 out of 100. It's a game that's still worth a purchase in many ways, unless if you're really hurting for funds, but I can't sit here and say that it's going to be worth it for everyone at that price. Remember, formal reviews on this channel go on a buyability system, and while the game is probably one of the best experiences I've had this year, I had to critically look at its buyability and its ability to deliver, and it did come up short in several areas there. However, like always, let's get to the enhancers. Add 10 to the score if you identify as a tactical gamer. When I think about the FPS genre, not a lot changes from game to game in the recent years. Sure, you'll get a few different ones here and there, but SuperHot is not only different, it's almost like a damn strategy game in the end. It's one of those games that can easily bring in RTS or strategy gamers, and even if they don't like the FPS genre at all, they may really love SuperHot. Take off 2 points if you're making YouTube content with it. Now this is a weird one, but part of the weird thing about this game is those replays on Killstagram. You see, you can't get a video version of what you upload there, and that would have made great YouTube content if that SuperHot wasn't flashing in the middle of the screen if you're using recording software. Now it's so low on the enhancer value because it's still fun to watch regardless, but this is more of an annoyance point. +5 if you get a referral. If it's real. Honestly, I can't find the referral.exe and I don't know what the price referral is. Maybe it unlocks with the game. I don't know, maybe it's messing with my head. The game really did a good job with that. So maybe this is real. Maybe this is Unreal. Maybe it's using the Unreal Engine. I didn't actually check. Lo and behold, if you get a discount on the price, it's obviously going to push this game up. However, there's not many enhancers here in the end, because the game is really accessible. Anyway, this is Dragonix signing out, with the next video being about Life is Bunker, Danganronpa, or Overkill, depending on my schedule. The last 2 videos took a bit out of me, and real life stuff has made things a bit more complicated. But I'm going to be here to bring you more content regardless. Alright, keep on gaming. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, hit that like button, maybe share it with a friend. I write an appropriate Steam review that you can find in the description below for games on Steam, and I'll respond to any comments below regarding questions about the game and feedback about the video. If you want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button, and you can check out my last video in the top left and a related video in the top right. You want to keep this channel running as well? Then consider supporting my work on Patreon, which you can find in the description below, along with my Google Plus page, Facebook group, and Twitter handle. This is Dragonix signing out, and keep on gaming.